5 through 9, that's just email.
Yeah.
So one of the ways that people can tell a fake license is, people who don't know this, they'll come in and present, I'll come in with a fake license, but it has a 6 as a number. And of course, people who know say, well, we have a problem here. Houston, we have a problem. Okay. Yeah, your year of birth is in there, and actually that second set of three digits, that's actually classified information. There is meaning associated with it, but it's classified information, so they don't share it, and that's never published. Okay. So just some interesting things about your driver's license. All right. Again, just for fun, take a look at these 3 websites and tell me if you think those are legitimate websites. They seem to be websites that offer to help you if you have an identity theft problem. And the names are very similar. identitytheft.org, idtheft.gov, idfraud.com. Only one of them is real. You will find those 3 websites out there, but only one of them is real. So let's talk about security. We've been talking about identity theft, but we really haven't talked about, well, how do you respond to the problem? So how do you respond to the problem? Well, let's first of all define sort of what do we mean by security. First of all, security is a weakest link problem. You can have great security at every step along the way, but the weakness is whatever the weakest link is in your security system, that's where your risk is. So you can have great security at every point along the way. If you have one weak link, it negates your entire security system. Your whole security system is only as good as its weakest link. The word brittleness here, when I talk about brittleness it's after 8, so I can't talk anymore. Brittleness means that you have inflexible systems. If your systems are not flexible, you probably have bad security. Because the fact is that things change. And if your security system cannot adapt to those changes, you probably have a bad security system. A lot of people get confused. I mean, what's the difference between identification, authentication, and authorization? And when you're dealing in the world of security, you have to have those 3 concepts very clearly separated in your mind. Identification, that's the question, who are you? When I say who are you, I'm asking you to give me identification. When I authenticate that identification, or I'm asking you to authenticate that, I'm saying prove it. Prove that you are you. So I may show you a document that says I'm Kenneth Henry, but I need to prove that. How do I prove that? That's what we mean by authentication. And an authorization, that says whoever you is, that says what can you do? What are you authorized to do? What affordances do you have? What assets do you have access to? What can you do? That's the difference between identification, authentication, and authorization. There's an interesting myth, and a lot of security, it's called security by obscurity. It says, okay, the best security is one that keeps passwords hidden. That's really a myth. That myth is called security by obscurity. Hiding things is not good security, generally speaking. Because just the mere fact of hiding something, people like yourselves who are intelligent, I mean, I remember when I was doing my computer science degree, if somebody told me you couldn't get into a system, the first thing I do is get into the machine language and start browsing the labels on the disk drives. You can get a tremendous amount of information from labels on disk drives. So hiding something, it's never really that well hidden. So depending on making something obscure is not a good security approach. We've been talking about this a little bit. All security involves trade-offs. We talked about the trade-off between security and privacy. It's a huge trade-off. There's always going to be a trade-off. I can improve security by doing different things. I'm probably going to be incurring a cost or making life difficult for somebody. There's going to be a trade-off of some kind, always. one of the things that you want to ask yourself when you're dealing with security is not so much how do systems work so that I can make them secure. The real question to ask is how do they fail? And if you can answer that question, if you know how they fail, then you design your security system to alert you when the system fails. So if you understand the answer to the question, how does the system fail, then you may not be able to prevent the failure, but you can make sure that there is an alert and a response. Okay? But when all is said and done, security depends on people. And actually that's what my dissertation research is about. How do people react when they see an identity document? Security is all about people. People making decisions about the authentication and about the authorization to access whatever it is you're asking for access to. It's a people business. Now we talked about how systems fail, and we said that a good response might be to prevent the failure, but failing that, that's just the word. But if that doesn't happen, then detection might be okay. But detection, you've got to have a response. Detecting a failure is useless if you don't have some way to respond. Okay? And here's what I suggest is the business of security. All right? 5 steps. First of all, you want to figure out what assets are you trying to protect. They could be people. They could be symbols of some kind. The World Trade Center, the Eiffel Tower. Those are symbolic things. It could be some kind of volatile assets, cash or inventory or whatever the case may be. It could be infrastructure in terms of access to secure buildings that house computers. It could actually be morale that you're trying to protect. It could be information. First question is, what are you trying to protect? Second question is, what are the risks to those assets that you're trying to protect? Are they physical risks, economic risks, social or organizational risks? Then you think about the solution or the potential solution, the security solution, and you say, how well does that potential solution mitigate the risk? Either through prevention or through some kind of detection response, or maybe you deny benefits. Maybe that's the way you mitigate the risks. Or do you actually counterattack? Sometimes that's necessary. Or is it just a matter of deterrence, maybe by making sure people are educated? There are different ways you can mitigate the risks. The only thing is, though, we said there are trade-offs. And typically, when you mitigate risks, the solution adds some kind of new risk. So you have to ask yourself, what new risk, what's my trade-off? And what sort of trade-off am I willing to live with? I can make security wonderful, but then nobody has access. Just to give you a horrible example. And that's it. I think Ron has a exercise. Thank you very much.
Now, in this course, we've talked a lot about business models, and your final project is going to be about business models, new kind of business models.